Some unfortunate news coming out of Waco, Texas this week, and you never want to hear this. And although we are a Kansas State Wildcats podcast, look, I want Kansas State to win every single game they play, but I want them to play and win against the team at their very best. And you don't get that when you have season ending injuries. And that's what happened with Baylor's running back, Dawson Pendergrass, this last week. And it was announced by Dave Aranda that he's out for the season. He has foot surgery from fall camp. And that hurts. He's not truly the starting running back, but he is a big asset to the team. Last year, he rushed for over 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. Actually, I'm sorry, that was over his first two seasons. 5.5 yards per carry last year. He had 671 yards last year and 6 touchdowns as a running back, too. Together, though, in the last two seasons, almost 1,400 yards. When you add him with Bryson Washington, who is the starting running back for Baylor, it's easily it was easily the best Big 12 running back tandem in the conference. Now, it was the only team in the league with 2 top 5 running backs entering 2025 when it comes to the rushing game. But he's missed a couple games last year, did have some injury history. You got to put that in perspective. So they know how to play without them, but of course, it's huge. And it's going to be something that impacts them throughout the entire season. And the fact that you're missing him right off the bat, that could be a huge impact down the line in their non-conference. They have a very tough non-conference, probably the toughest in the Big 12 conference. And then, of course, when you get to conference play and when Kansas State heads to Waco in the middle of the season, there's just a lot of things to worry about. And of course, they'll have a true test to figure out who can be that second running back to step up behind Washington early. They get to play Auburn to start their season. Then they also have a non-conference game against SMU, who was in the college football playoffs last year. They were ranked in the AP top 25. They were ranked 16th in the country. Auburn wasn't ranked, but they're a team that's on the up and up. Everybody believes they're going to continue to be a really good team this season. So let's see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of things that could come into play here where the defense for Kansas State could step up. And again, I'm not advocating injuries and saying this is a great thing, because I'm absolutely not. But I'm talking about how important this is to figure out and talk about, because I think Baylor was one of those games when I look at the schedule that it's a very scary game. Kansas State heading into Waco, you never know what to expect. And now knowing that you don't have a two-headed running back monster to worry about, you really don't have to worry about Bryson Washington. It changes things a little bit. And I think that's important to discuss. Baylor's offense thrives on play action, something that Kansas State's going to do a lot this year on their side as well. And they also work on punishing the run game, something that Kansas State did very well last year with DJ Giddens. With Pendergrass, he was something that was very important to that running the game, the punishing the run game with 5.5 yards per carry. That was huge. It removes that thunder aspect, basically like the Joe Jackson of the Kansas State offense. Pendergrass in that same kind of concept, which is it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It puts more pressure on Washington as well with his health, with his consistency. And if you lose him, then that could be a season down the drain for Dave Aranda and Baylor and Sawyer Robinson, something who I think is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, let alone the country. So something that you really have to pay attention to. Again, I think Baylor's first true test at home in the conference is Kansas State. And that definitely the first true road test for Kansas State this year is in Waco. And now you're talking about an unproven backfield. You can go into the entire conversation of talking about, is Kansas State's running back room better than Baylor's now? You could make that argument. I'm not going to do that on this show today, but when you think of Dylan Edwards, Joe Jackson, potentially Antonio Martin, I think you have a solid case to make that argument. But I think this could really change a defensive game plan. Baylor has some great wide receivers on the roster as well. Cameron coming back was one of the leaders in receptions last year in the conference. I think he was the leader in receptions. So there's still a great offense. But when you lose a player like Pendergrass, who is going to be an effective piece of your offense, before you even get to play a snap of the season, and you easily have the hardest non-conference schedule, the hardest path to the college football playoffs, in my opinion, if you can't get past SMU and Auburn, your only chance is to just do really good in conference play. Now you have to worry about, okay, something's come up. We thought we had the second running back all figured out. We've had him for the last couple seasons. Now we got to flex. Instead of game planning how we're going to beat Auburn, game plan how we're going to be SMU, how we're going to get through this tough non-conference schedule, some of our energy is going to have to go towards figuring out who we're going to add to these play packages when Bryson Washington needs a break. We're going to get a lot more carries from Bryson Washington. This could mean that he wins the running back of the year in Big 12. This could mean that he wins awards in the Big 12. Something to keep in mind if he stays healthy. But this isn't just losing a backup. Baylor lost half their offensive identity, if you really want to put it into, at least in the running game. And it comes right before a schedule that doesn't give them any time to figure it out. As I mentioned, Auburn, SMU, Kansas State comes around the corner. Now, they do get some of their really tough games in conference at home in Waco. That's great. Their fans are great. But if they don't have some running backs on the field and Bryson Washington isn't 100% when Kansas State comes to town, it could be a very big advantage for the Wildcats, something that Kansas State might need. Again, I think that's an easy trap game for Kansas State. And you can even make the argument that this makes it more of a trap game. Going in there thinking there's only a one-dimension guy in the backfield, and then they figure it out by the time that the Wildcats get to Waco. Lots of things to keep in mind here. Hey, but a lot of fun stuff in this episode. Farmageddon making history. Week 10 is going to decide futures for this entire college football season. And of course, Baylor's future just got a lot murkier as well. And it could be great news for Kansas State. It's obviously not great news for Baylor, but it could mean it could help and assist Kansas State getting back to Arlington for the first time since 2022. Most people can't name all their financial accounts and even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on a laptop, your phone, you name it. It's clean, it's easy, and it's fantastic. I just bought a house and just trying to get all these new things figured out and making sure I'm not paying too many subscriptions to make sure that I can utilize my money the best way. Monarch Money has helped me for that. I've linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using. Canceling those alone saved me money every single month so far, and it's been super excited. So don't let the financial opportunity slip through the cracks with Monarch Money, and you can use this code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com using the code LOCKEDONCollege. Use Monarch Money today. Get a better feeling on financial freedom.